They're a lot smarter than me.
No, I know.
Brian, where do you
Wanting to make sure.
Ready to go back on board? You can have it back.
When am I eligible? Another year?
Enough to be off 1 year.
1 year?
You're gonna sit up front.
Get me up.
All right. In any one of those seats, so.
Sorry,
No, this is the one for the town council.
A good guy. Come over the office quite a bit.
I'm sorry, Greg, I was on occasion over the weekend.
We walk around town and I see that.
It's having a bad day. Somebody said you could.
Like, we can bring the second person share.
always there.
Bring it back.
I don't take it anything other than good men. Beautiful. What's that?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Joe, you know what the temperature is? The shrimp and turkey.
Shrimp and turkey.
Yeah.
Is it November?
It's in November. It's like middle of November. Like,
So.
You think it's the 13th?
I think it is. Yeah, that sounds right.
They woke up. You're on this side.
On that, but
On this side,
that's
perfect.
right.
It's like locker room material.
And it's just every day we have something.
Coach Fred, number 2 singles.
Quite a gathering here. Yeah, it is. You're done.
How's it going?
Yeah. It's good. I don't have to.
Yeah. Well said.
Give me a phone.
I thought you would say that. We're scaling back. We'll just get those are just good. Just look like a man.
It's still going up.
Training all day.
Next week will be.
You want me to do it? I thought this was an RDC meeting.
No, it's a joint session of all three.
Okay.
All right. So we'll call this meeting to order. And it's a joint session apparently between a bunch of different people. And there'll be a presentation by Mr. Reese. You have the floor, sir.
All right.
Unless there's anything else with you, any business or anything.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Mike Reese with Troyer Group. Been many familiar faces, been doing a lot of work in Bremen over the past decade, but been great to work on this bicycle and pedestrian master plan. This was a process that was kind of done in tandem with the READY project, Bremen Growth Project, for the proposed trail. This master plan was funded through the Indiana Department of Health, and so there were some requirements that we had to meet for that grant program to get that included and funded through the grant. But really, the master plan we were able to tailor to what Bremen needed, which looked at kind of long-range trail planning, but more of an in-depth look, especially on this first phase along the south side and that trail for the growth project. So I'll kind of give just a kind of summary of the report and go over some of the proposed trail maps. So just kind of looking at the analysis, looked at kind of the infrastructure in Bremen. It is nice, it's fairly compact, and with the sidewalk and street infrastructure, a lot of the assets within the town are walkable. There's some improvements needed with different sidewalks and curb ramps and things like that. But kind of one of the main missing things was just that trail, especially around the outer edge of the town for recreation purposes, but also tying into that infrastructure that's already there. Looking at the walk score and bike score out of 100, the walk score was 63 and bike score 53. So, which is good scores, but with the kind of, the size of the town and the infrastructure here, there's some room for improvement with that connectivity that this trail system and then connecting to that current infrastructure would greatly help. Some of the things we looked at was right-of-way and easements and how that could impact the trail. Certainly, it's easier if you don't have to acquire right-of-way or easements, especially in the more kind of urban area and the neighborhoods. You also run into utilities and driveways, and trail construction gets very expensive. So kind of balancing the costs and the value to where these trails would go. Certainly around the perimeter of town, more open land could take some easements, but lower construction costs compared to closer to the town center. With that, looking at bike and pedestrian infrastructure, obviously a trail is great. It's separated from traffic, but it doesn't have to be the only solution. Like here on Plymouth Street and Woody's Lane, the bike lanes work well. A lot of cyclists, either you don't want them on the sidewalks or they prefer not to be, so we don't have the bicycle and pedestrian conflict. So the combination of bike lanes with sidewalks works really well in this kind of area. If we look at Bowen Avenue heading north and south, again with constraints of utilities and right-of-way, the current roadway width, you could add bike lanes and then improve current sidewalks or add some new sidewalks where needed. So this, I'll kind of get to that a little bit more on the overall map. But that kind of just looking at the overall conditions and impacts for the different areas of town and what could be the best treatment to get that connected system. Another thing we looked at was just the usage of like e-bikes and golf carts and things like that on the trails. E-bikes, there's 3 classes. DNR allows the first 2 on the state trails, which goes up to 20 miles an hour. The class 3 goes up to 28. So, clearly with that speed, there can be some pedestrian issues with people walking and having an e-bike coming up at that speed. And with golf carts as well, for ADA, you need to make provisions for the trail for some mobility devices for those that need it. So there should be a policy as this trail gets developed that kind of addresses all motorized devices, whether it's e-bikes, golf carts, scooters, all of that. So again, there's a matter of enforcement, but it's good to have a policy in case that enforcement is necessary. If you don't have one, it's a lot more difficult to enforce or be able to take care of that on the trail. Let's see, we went through a public engagement process There was a trail committee that we worked with closely that had some representation from the different council and redevelopment, park board, and health department, school. So worked with them kind of throughout the process. And then we had 2 public open houses. One was held to kind of gather more input, and then the second one to present the draft plans. And those were well attended. A lot of times the public meetings, unless people are opposed to it, you don't get a great turnout, but there was a lot of interest, especially in that alignment of the new trail. We also had an online survey, and we had 268 responses, so there was a lot of good information there as well, kind of looking at the trail system, amenities that would be liked, kind of assets in the community that I thought were important to connect the trail system to. For the proposed trail system, some of the things we looked at, kind of touched on a little bit already, but the width of the trail and the surfacing. The width for NDOT, DNR, and different funding programs, a trail technically has to be at least 8 feet wide. Ideally, it's 10 feet or more if you have a lot of bicycle usage on it, just so you can get two-way traffic or the pedestrian bicycle conflict. But especially in the more urban areas, 8 feet is still acceptable, especially on lower speed streets where cyclists will likely be using the road anyways. You don't have to have a 10 or 12 foot wide trail all the way through and trying to navigate that in tighter right-of-way spaces and utility poles and driveways and things like that. So that's one thing we'll be looking at on this proposed trail, kind of those more open areas where you have space to get 10 feet or more, but it may transition to 8 feet where some tighter right-of-way and other constraints, but still would effectively be a trail and work well. Surfacing, again, it's kind of a balance of upfront cost versus longevity, some of the context with drainage. Is it, in a neighborhood, is it in a more natural area? Some places where it might be best to do concrete, that's the most expensive. Asphalt is kind of the standard. You get pretty good longevity, a little less cost, but there's still more maintenance concerns with resurfacing. And then also looking at something like a crushed limestone fines that compacts, basically like pavement. It's ADA accessible, meets the standards for that, and is acceptable as a trail material. So especially more in kind of the natural areas on the west side, that could be a good solution. Also, DNR prefers that. They really don't like to see asphalt in the floodway. So that's something we'll have to consider for the trail kind of along the Yellow River on the west side of town. Some other considerations, this trail, first phase on the south side proposed, there's some open land for easements, but a lot of the trail is up against the backyards of different properties. So we want to make sure we're being just sensitive to lighting and the placement of the trail, kind of maximizing that the best we can in the easement. But we don't want to have, the taller the light pole, the more coverage you can get, and the less light poles you need. But if it's too tall, you can run into more issues for glare. But they also make different cutoffs, and so there's a lot of options for lighting that we'll get more into. But that's something that need to kind of balance the adjacent properties, the cost, the safety, all of that together. Talk a little bit about the accessibility and connectivity to different trailheads, sidewalks, and other things in town. Things like gates or bollards to restrict vehicles from getting on the trail, but still allowing for golf carts or mobility devices that could be needed. So using different bollards, drop bollards, making sure that you can get maintenance on there for snow plowing. So there's those different considerations that'll go into where that trail intersects the different roadways. Let's see, I think that covers most of that information. So kind of looking, let's see, back up enough that hopefully everyone can kind of see this, but the overall trail map, this is kind of, looking very long-term, how we could get a loop trail around Bremen with connectivity into the town center and different assets throughout the community. So right now, we're talking about that first phase starting at Shoemaker Park, going along the south side, connecting to the school, and then eventually over into the park and Woody's Lane. So right now, we're kind of the next phase of this is the engineering for that first phase of the trail, and that's kind of just getting started. So we have a route getting closer to finalized along this south side. And then continuing from there, there's already the bike lanes on Woody's and sidewalks, being able to connect up to 6 with future trails to Napanee. And again, that could be bike lanes with some sidewalks or adding a trail connection. And then kind of working our way west and back south with the future phases. And kind of each of these phases has different context considerations from easements needed or acquisition or environmental sensitivity. So depending on the funding program and when things become available, these phases could change, but ideally you're kind of working in that manner and kind of creating that connectivity as you go. There's currently the bike lanes along Plymouth, and then we're showing proposed bike lanes on Bowen and sidewalks to make that connection. And then along Center Street, just improving those sidewalks to make sure there's good accessibility all the way through. And then since we did have the Bremen Growth Ready project kind of going on at the same time as this, we were able to take a little bit of a closer look at the routing for this first phase. So again, starting at Shoemaker Park, coming down along the west and south side. So again, over here, this was kind of the area that is likely going to be in the floodway. The floodway kind of runs about halfway through those parcels. So that's something that will impact the design and the schedule if we need to get a construction and a floodway permit. And then coming along the south side and basically running along that edge and kind of getting our way where there can be easements available for that trail to work. Picking up along the south edge of the neighborhoods here, up to the behind the garage and up to making that connection at the school. And then the proposed development at Stock Street, being able to make that connection through. So again, some of this will be finalized as those developments occur, but this is kind of shaping up to be the routing through there. And then we have the phase 1 currently ending right here. Depending on the funding and the costs, it could change and push further. The big factor that will be kind of really affect the overall costs is lighting. If we light the entire trail, it basically doubles the cost of everything, just for the cost of the poles, running conduit, or you can try to do solar options as well, but there's considerable expenses.
Is that
for
Center
that.
Street where it stops?
Center is further, just a little bit further down.
Okay.
Might be about
So the
Marshall
school
Street.
is where it
Marshall,
sits right
okay.
here. Yeah, Marshall
Okay,
Street
okay,
is where that
okay.
stops. So kind of getting that connection to the school being a priority. All right, and then continuing on through the church, and then here's where it goes down Center Street, and continuing to the east. And then continuing east along the bottom of those neighborhoods where it would connect to the existing trail system in Sunnyside Park. And then connect to those bike lanes and infrastructure on Woody's Lane. So that's the goal, is to make that entire connection along the south side, which would be just amazing for the recreational benefits, the connectivity for kids getting to school, people walking to the park, just going out to walk their dogs, whatever it may be. So very exciting to see this coming to fruition. Any questions? Kind of ran through a lot of work and discussions and meetings and everything pretty quickly, but happy to answer any questions anyone has.
So I wasn't sure I understood you correctly. Were you saying that the trail would stop at Marshall Street depending on funding?
Yes, just with the Ready project and how that is coming together with the funding, the easements, the different developments. So what's included in what phase would depend on that. But we want to make the phasing as logical as possible, that there's a good, start and stop point, that it's not just stopping kind of randomly without a connection.
But right now, Mike, based on the ready funding, it would appear that we have full funding for the entirety.
That would be the goal, yeah, to do the entire
Not the
thing, all the way from
done.
Shoemaker, all the way
That's
to.
what I was
All right,
trying to
that's-
get sure we
that's-
understood. So apparently I wasn't the only one who was worried about that.
Yeah.
So what's the
I
total
don't
amount?
believe that anybody on our team has any concerns about the whole trail being done, so I think
Okay.
that that's
That-
a Troyer.
Yeah,
Prior
and that
thought.
would be the goal, and especially if, if we're not lighting everything, there would be the budget to do that.
And there's not the concept of lighting anything at this point. It may be putting conduit, but the goal is to connect all the 3 miles. The amenities can be happen after we get the bids in and what can be added to that.
Yeah,
So the 3 miles is phase 1 and phase 2?
Yeah, it's, the whole thing should be done with the budget. There should no reason why the entire 3-mile loop should not be completed with the amount of ready funding we have. We're not gonna over-design it so we don't only do half of it. If we have amenities, or things that we can do, alternates to have those added in, like conduit, for example, would be cheap to add in. Doing light poles can happen later. We don't have to do that.
And solar's another option.
Yeah.
yeah. And so, phase 1 and 2 is really phase
The whole
1,
thing.
hopefully, in
But whether or not
in
that's one
reality.
construction contract or 2 could depend upon the timing of the contractors and whether, it makes sense to bid it out in 2 different
It
components.
looks like phase 2 is a lot of existing streets, so that wouldn't be the heavy lift on the project, I wouldn't think. If I see it right.
It would be along the existing street.
Yeah, so that's not as intensive as putting in a brand new trail
Yeah, I
on
can't even see
farmland or whatever.
It'd be somewhat similar, just because it would still be a new trail next to the street. It wouldn't be
So
using the
it
street.
would just be the street?
It would not just be the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This, we have the agreements, not, we got tentative agreements, not the easements yet, we're getting the design work on. They've agreed to provide the easements, Whitlock has agreed to provide the easement, this is within the right of way, and Piper's agreed to provide this. So we have all the right of way to do it, and we have the funding to do it now. But to his point, if we add a whole bunch of amenities to it, like lighting, we may not be able to do that. But, where you could do the conduit would be ideal, because at least you have that for the future use. But this should all be done at the same time too. Should be.
And as far as lighting, when we talked about with the committee, it's nice to have lighting, especially in the more urban area where you have some adjacent light, but it's not really lit to a point that you'd feel safe. But in a more kind of towards the east side where there aren't really adjacent houses and it's dark, west side, thank you. It's probably best to just not have lighting, and the trail closes at dusk, like with the parks. And because if you have a light pole every 100 feet or something, it's still this way, it's just, all right, you're not supposed to be on the trail after dark, and that's the safest way to go. When you're in more of the urban areas and you get, okay, you have now a connection from the neighborhood to the school, and kids are walking to school in the morning, and it's still dark in the winter, you have some lighting there when they're on the trail, but you're not encouraging the recreational use late at night or something where safety could be more of an issue. And not something I don't think you want to have patrol constantly. But that's something we'll look more into as the engineering progresses into this project.
So at this point, what we're really being asked to approve is just kind of location as much as anything. We're not being asked to necessarily approve width,
No.
surface.
All we really need approval for right now is the master plan that basically, shows this overall trail map, that the analysis of the different contexts has been considered. How do we connect the different things in Bremen? We've had the public engagement done, and the actual implementation in that route, we don't need approval for. It's just that the master plan, the approval from these entities is needed for the grant for the Department of Health. And then that will have to get approval adopted by the Plan Commission as well, correct?
So, as a credit, I'm assuming this is Mr. Main's foresight and hard work. Your comprehensive plan for the town actually already includes a trail pretty much in this location. But for the grant that we're applying for, this plan needs to be added as essentially an amendment or an addendum to that plan, so that it's officially adopted. That's the way the state wants it, so that's the way the state's going to get it. So essentially, what I'd like to do tonight is have the park board and the RDC, if they're so inclined, essentially approve this, basically make that recommendation to the town council. Town council is actually going to send that to the Plan Commission to review at their meeting here in the first week or so of October, actually second week, I think. And then it'll come back to the town council for final approval, assuming it gets a positive recommendation from the Plan Commission as well. But like I said, the original comprehensive plan from 10 years ago actually foresaw this, so it shouldn't be terribly controversial in any of those meetings.
So I'm happy to make that motion if that's what you're looking for. I'll let you say the motion, Tony.
Essentially, from the park board's perspective, it's just a motion to approve the trail master plan. So
I'll
and then the
second.
same thing from the RDC, so. Let's go ahead and let you vote first, so. Yeah, I got it. So,
Aye.
yeah, however
All
you
in
guys
favor?
call for a vote, so, yeah.
Motion to approve the trail system, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
And then,
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
You want us to do the same?
no.
Okay. I thought we were waiting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do it by motion if you want to make, someone wants to make a motion to send it to the Plan Commission. That's fine, but you're not going to actually approve this and amend the comp plan until the Plan Commission's had a chance to make the recommendation.
I'll make a motion to send this to the Plan Commission pending the next meeting for their approval.
Second that. Okay. We have a motion and a second to send the master trail plan to the Plan Commission for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. So moved.
If there's no other business, we can adjourn, so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sit down. Sure. So, we want to have, oh, is it still going?
Yeah.
Executive session, probably.